Well,
All
we
right.
played three. Okay, are we live now?
Yeah. What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 49 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. I'm Dave, here with my brothers Christian and Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Matt was just filling us in on how the Sixers are doing. Matt, continue, please.
Well, we're I think 2-4 right now, but we lost to three of the best four teams in the East, and then the Rockets. They're probably like the second best team in the West. So they're teams like you expect to lose to. But we play the Rockets in Houston tonight.
Okay, cool. So I know that's why everyone is here watching this video. So now you guys know. So
Yeah.
you can just stop watching now at this point. So I think we're ready to go. We're ready to get this thing moving. And so, Christian, you ready to go? You look stressed out.
Oh, no, I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that's your ready to go face. What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 49 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. As always, my name is Dave Knittel, here with my brothers Christian and Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, how you doing today?
I'm just dandy today, Dave. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Do you happen to know the state fish of Hawaii off the top of your head?
I do know the state fish of Hawaii. It's so weird. Someone else asked me that today, so it's crazy that you'd ask me that.
Yeah.
It is huma huma nuka nuka apua.
Okay.
Yeah, bitch.
There you have it. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dave. Thanks for asking.
All right.
How are you?
Questions for him?
I'm doing.
Yeah, how are you, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you guys for asking. Had a nice weekend, relaxing weekend back on the West Coast, and yeah, ready to go. Liverpool won this weekend, and watched a bunch of soccer, so I am doing well. Christian, do you happen to have a trivia question for us this week?
I do, Dave. But first, I just want to say you asked me a trivia question. You didn't ask Matt one. I don't know if
You're
that
special.
was really fair.
Yeah, you're special.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point. That's a good point. I should have known.
You crave the spotlight.
I don't crave it. I just deserve it.
Yeah.
So my trivia question this week is, which team in the Premier League? I don't know if I want to phrase it that way. I'm trying to think of what's the best way to phrase this question.
You have one job.
All right. I got it.
Everton.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Which team in the Premier League has earned the most penalties, and what is their conversion rate?
Okay, since 92, when the Premier League started?
Yes.
Okay. And what is their conversion rate? So percentage?
Yes.
Okay, so we will all think
Wait,
of...
so not the best percentage, just the most makes. Okay.
No. It is both.
Has earned the most penalties, not makes, has earned them.
Okay. Who's earned
I
the
did
most?
say earned, yeah.
Yes, okay. Glad we have that clarified. Matt, do you understand the question?
No, just ask it again later.
Okay. So before we get into our topics, I want to give two quick plugs. So the first one, I want to shout out the LADS podcast. So it stands for the Loud Americans Discussing Soccer.
Oh, what a great name.
I know.
Oh, man.
They're from the Philly area. I stumbled into them on Twitter, and so I started listening to them. They really know their stuff, but they got this funny kind of rapport and all that. So they're just getting started. So definitely go check them out. I'm a big fan, subscriber, and so I'm going to be listening to them every week as well. They're only on iTunes right now, and they're also a good follow on Twitter, and it's at LADS_podcast. So give them a follow, check them out. They're a lot of fun. On top of that, let's give a plug real quick to Fan Futsal. So I'm the founder of Fan Futsal. It's my fantasy soccer startup. We're simplifying fantasy soccer to make it easier for all soccer fans to play. Instead of having you select 8 to 11 individual players and following a bunch of stats throughout a match, you only need to select 5 clubs and follow match scores. And we keep strategy and differentiation in the lineups by having you put the clubs into positions and different formations. And so it's a really interesting, kind of unique, different way to play fantasy soccer, much more simplified. If you're listening to this podcast, you like soccer. And so I think you will like Fan Futsal. So give it a look, FANFUTSAL.com today.
Not everybody likes to be told what they like, Dave.
Yeah, but thanks for that, Christian. All right, I have no response to that. With that, let's get into our topics here. And so segment one, first thing we wanted to kick off with is the MLS regular season finished last week. And with that, some interesting things happened in the standings. So I know we shouted out San Jose on the last podcast for getting in 6th place in the Western Conference. They actually got in with a negative 21 goal difference ahead of FC Dallas, who had a 0 goal difference. They both were tied with 46 points. So the reason behind that is MLS's first tiebreaker is wins rather than goal difference. Matt, what do you think about this?
I'm actually okay with this. Like, I understand it's not like this around the world, but I'm actually kind of fine with it for like the American version of like how we want to see sports. We like wins here. I think a lot of American fans don't like draws in general, so I think rewarding them for winning is like a nice way of putting like an American touch to our domestic league.
Yeah, I think it encourages attacking play and more offense, and it rewards teams for going for it rather than sitting back and playing kind of dull, boring 0-0 draws because it gets you a point versus no wins, versus no points and a loss. So, I agree with you on that one. With that, let's take a pause here for anyone watching on YouTube because we lost Christian. I don't know what the fuck happened there. Yeah. By the way,
you see my message?
Yeah, I did see your message. Yes.
Gotcha. Boom, roasted.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened to Christian. Also, we're explicit now, like just because Christian curses anyways, so I just needed to put that tag. So you can say whatever the fuck you want on the podcast if that tickles your fancy.
It's 2017, Dave. You can't say whatever the fuck you want.
Very true. So yeah.
Invite me, please.
I can't get in. Oh my god. Christian.
You know, he was talking about with the penalties, and then he just like agreed with something you asked. You were like, is it conversions or most ever? He's like, yeah, that's what I said, I think.
Yeah, so he's just saying which club has earned the most penalties, and then what's their conversion percentage.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I got elevator holding music and was kicked out.
Okay, we don't see you. Matt, can you see him?
I see him. Yeah, I see him. He's got a white shirt on.
Oh my god.
He's smiling. I'll just narrate Christian's action.
Okay.
All right, that's fair. That's a good point.
So I can hear you, but I can't see you.
You don't
there
have
you
to
are.
see
There
me.
you are. All right, we're good. Sorry, everyone who's actually watching
It's a
on
spooky
YouTube.
ghost.
Technical difficulties. Christian, to recap, Matt liked the fact that. Did you hear the setup?
I heard some of it. Not all of it.
So San Jose got into the playoffs with 46 points, tied with FC Dallas, but San Jose had a negative 21 goal difference, whereas FC Dallas had a 0 goal difference. That's because the first tiebreaker in MLS is wins rather than goal difference. So Matt and I both kind of agreed that we were in favor of this. I'm going to put my phone back on airplane mode. We were in favor of this because it encourages kind of attacking play. So we gave our opinions. I'm just going to drop right back in and say, Christian, what do you think about this? Okay, you good?
I'm ready.
Christian, what do you think about that?
That was just a really funny way to, because you said it and then you said it again. All right. So what I think about that, I understand where you guys are coming from in terms of that it encourages attacking play, but scoring goals and bolstering your goal difference also encourages attacking play. So in one regard, I see where you're coming from, but goal difference is pretty much the deciding factor in most soccer events and tournaments around the world and leagues, whatever it is. I know that in America, we like to be different and have playoffs and all that stuff too, and that is very entertaining to a lot of people, and I don't see that changing ever. But I think goal difference is probably the most important thing after head-to-head for teams.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I can see it. I like the fact that we're trying to approach this from a different perspective and try something different. And ultimately, it made for some pretty crazy and interesting drama at the end of the season because San Jose knew that all they had to do was win and still get in. regardless of their goal difference. So I kind of like that.
But if there was a 10 different goal difference, it wouldn't matter. It would be the same exact result. Like, if they were 10 goals apart, I mean, in goal difference, they come into that game knowing they need to win anyway.
Yeah.
So
Sure
do you not? Okay, so in this scenario, it's the other way around. Dallas would be coming in saying, okay, we're already up by 20 goals, so all we need to do is win.
Yep.
It's the same approach from either way. So I don't think it changes anything.
Fair enough. But it also encouraged San Jose to really play like attacking and aggressive soccer to try to get a road win throughout the back half of the season. And Dallas, through the back half of the season, played some pretty boring, not very great soccer. So, I think that it's different. I know that it's different than the way the rest of the world functions. But I'm kind of on board with it. Matt, what do you think? Anything else to add?
Nah, I think you guys covered it.
Okay, Christian, you doing okay?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
All right, I can't speak. All right, let's talk. Next topic I wanted to cover here, sticking with MLS playoffs. But last night, so today is Monday, October 30th. Yesterday, Sunday, October 29th. That's how dates work. Vancouver and Seattle played to a very boring 0-0 draw. Vancouver was the home side, didn't even register a shot on net, and they were incredibly happy with that, and they came in, that was kind of their game plan, to get a 0-0 draw because away goals is the tiebreaker in the playoffs. And so Vancouver, all they need to do is score a goal on the road and get a draw. Matt, what do you think about just the away goals rule in general and teams approaching playoffs or knockout situations, basically just trying not to give up a goal at home rather than going for it and attacking at home?
Wait, that's Champions League, right? As well.
Yeah, Champions League functions the same way.
Yeah. I think I actually like going away. You're encouraged to score more goals. And when you go away, you also don't want to let up any goals. Like, so it's like you're more likely, I guess, like the home team has an advantage when you're home. So I think the away team, like when you haven't. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I gotta. Let me think this thought out real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you can think out loud.
Yeah. So like the defense have an incentive to score, I think makes the game more interesting. So they're not just bunkered in like you wouldn't expect an away team to be.
So the away team is incentivized to score. So you like it that perspective more than the home team kind of trying not to give up a goal.
Yeah.
Okay, Christian, what do you think about the away goals rule?
Yeah, so I like that rule. So I think like this, like when you do bunker in, it's just not entertaining.
Got it. Christian,
like, I don't think it makes for like good soccer.
Got it. Understood. I love that you're chiming in with your opinion.
I know. We never get this.
I know. That's awesome. Christian?
I don't know what's so funny.
Yeah. Christian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I have some thoughts here. So I think Jose Mourinho must be smiling a big smile over there in England because this is the tactic he always uses. Do not concede a goal at home in a knockout game. Then again, he plays that style, don't concede a goal ever, and I don't care if we score either. So that's neither here nor there. I do not particularly like this rule. I think it encourages home teams to bunker in a little bit more than we would like. I think it also, I think that the team that is home first has an advantage, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and most people say that having a home leg at second is a greater advantage. Mm-hmm. I think if you are home first and concede a goal, you're at such a disadvantage now. If you go down 1-0, then the reverse leg. Do you not see what I'm saying there? Like if you concede goals in the first leg, I think it's harder for you to catch back up.
Yeah, so wouldn't that be a disadvantage? You just said that it was an advantage to have the first leg at home first.
I meant disadvantage.
Okay.
Did I really say advantage? Wow.
We are just not on the same page, any of us today, so that's all right. You very well may have said advantage or disadvantage, whatever the hell the one that you didn't mean to say. So for me, I
said the. Okay, no, forget it. Just forget it. Just go.
Yeah, the away goals rule, I think, is just an interesting way to try to differentiate things. But for me, I don't think it's necessary. And I think it just should be aggregate score for both teams. If anything, I think the MLS should go to more of a MLS playoff should go to just a home team, like hosts a leg and then knockout. So that's where I would like to see it move to, speaking strictly from an MLS perspective. Matt, thoughts?
We talked about this before, but like, weren't you like opposed to like overtime before, like on like the work with their players? So like if you so like this does prevent overtime in like not the finals. These guys have more games to play in like the early stages of the playoffs when they would have extra time that they wouldn't need to go to if with this aggregate score.
That's a fair point. So we were talking about with the U17 World Cup how they did away with extra time in more tournament situations, and it lessens the likelihood of it going to overtime away goals rule, but it doesn't prevent it altogether, right? Because a match could finish 0-0, 0-0, or 1-1, 1-1. Like, they would need to match the score lines, but it doesn't prevent it altogether from going to extra time, but it does reduce the likelihood. So that's a good point.
So if you did have the scenario you were talking about where the higher ranked team gets a home game, would you have overtime in that scenario in your ideal world, or would you still just go right to penalties after 90 minutes?
In that case, I would go to extra time because, well, it all depends on the way the schedule works. So if there's a ton of games condensed in a short amount of time, the way that MLS playoffs are functioning right now, I think that you should do away with overtime or extra time. But if they have a week to rest in between anyways, I think I would be fine with it going to extra time.
Okay,
fair enough. Sticking in MLS soccer, and this is a team we had spoke about previously, but the Las Vegas Lights FC announced their new logo. And we will have a picture of it on our Twitter account. We'll tweet it out. But Christian, what were your thoughts upon seeing the logo? It's very neon. It's very kind of Vegas themed. What did you think about it?
All right, so to be honest with you, I have not seen the logo yet because I was very prepared for this podcast today. Okay. But you describing it there, that makes sense. You said it's neon. It's lights. Obviously, they are going to have some bright colors in their logo, and they kind of want that attention on them. It's Las Vegas.
Yep. Why don't you check it out, and we'll go to Matt to get his thoughts first. Matt, what do you think about the logo?
Yeah. So like when I saw like you sent the podcast topics, I saw like the logo. I'm like, all right, like it's like it's a logo. Like who cares? And then I clicked on it. I'm like, oh, I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's cool, I guess. And then I start reading the article, and it's like it makes you like when you look at it, just think, oh, that's cool. I was like, that's crazy. That's exactly what I just said. But I don't know. But like at the end of the day, it's an emblem. Like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, I think it does matter. And I think that, there's plenty of logos or emblems that can be cheesy, like MLS's old logo from like the 90s that they used up until like a couple years ago inexplicably. And there's a lot of logos that aren't well done. I think that this is really different and unique. Like I can't think of really too many other soccer logos that kind of look the way that their logo looks and with their color scheme and everything like that. And I like that it's unique, but it's still is a soccer crest and a logo, and it has a lot of those elements. And so I was a big fan of it. As much as I'm not a fan of their team name, I do like their logo. Christian, have you had a chance to look at it?
I have had a chance to look at it, and to be completely honest with you, I like it.
Yeah,
it is very different from what other MLS teams have. And
it's a USL logo, just to be clear. So the USL club, not an MLS club.
Well, regardless, it's different from MLS clubs too.
Yes, it is.
Facts.
I know. Can't argue that. That's a good point.
It's really unique in the way that it has something to do. It's meaningful to the actual team name, and it really sums up the city, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think that they hit a home run there, so that was awesome.
Yeah, I like the neon lights that kind of really resemble the casinos and just the lifestyle that goes on in Vegas.
Yeah, and I was reading a little bit about it. So their crest is on like a really kind of thin diamond shape, and what it is the famous Las Vegas sign turned 90 degrees. And so I thought that was like, I love it when clubs do something with like a historical nod to Sorry, Christian sneezing on air. Oh God. Every week it's something. Okay, sorry, I couldn't handle that. All right, guys, anything else to add on the Las Vegas Lights logo?
Yeah, I'll just bless myself then.
Okay, bless you. No, okay, all right. With that, let's go to the first music here, and we'll be back with the second segment. Stick with us here. Thanks, everyone. Jesus Christ, I can't speak.
I called it the
Wow, that was the worst segment we've ever done.
What the hell, man?
So
that was fucking terrible. Oh my fucking God, that was bad.
That was just bad all around. Everybody, good job. Let's get it together.
Okay, yeah, let's get our shit together because it was so good last week.
It was so good. I think that's the problem. We can't get better. Now we're just like, all right, we might as well just make it funny.
I thought I made a good point at first.
Yeah, you did make a good point, and we're not being funny right now. We're being funny, like we're laughing at each other, but I don't think it's interesting, fun content.
I think
for people to have to cut out a lot.
Yeah, I will be cutting out a bunch of stuff.
Well, our fans know us. It's like we're friends and family now. So
our fans. We have like 25 to 30 listeners of the most recent episodes. We gotta up that.
Yeah, you gotta up that game.
Yeah. So if you guys want to start promoting it on Facebook or Twitter, that would be very appreciated.
I don't know what those things are.
Okay. All right. You guys good to go? Murata?
Yeah.
Who?
Welcome back, everyone, to our second segment. Jumping into things, we're going to talk about Alvaro Morata, who had an interesting interview he gave this past week where he claims that he never should have left Juventus. Now, I think some of the quotes were misinterpreted. Granted, English isn't his first language, and I think the interview was in English. I could be wrong there. But it's possible that some of the quotes were misinterpreted, but a lot of what he was saying was that he never should have gone back to Madrid after Juventus. He loved living in Italy. He wants to live in Italy later on in his life. Matt, what did you make of all of these comments from Morata? Was he overstepping his bounds considering he's a Chelsea player now? And it did kind of sound like he wanted to be at Juventus. I should say real quick, Matt, before you go, sorry, that he did come out and say recently, like he meant after his career and that he's very committed to Chelsea. But Matt, what were your thoughts on all these comments upon hearing them?
I think it's great. It just represents Chelsea so well. Just the meltdown. It's just starting. So I think, yeah, I saw this. He said like he wants to go to Italy. His wife loves Spain, or something like that. And I mean, he was in a great situation at Juve. He was their starting forward that year, and they went to the Champions League final, right, that year?
Correct.
Yeah. And then he won a Champions League at Madrid. I mean, he was more of a rotation player there, so I can see why he wanted out. But yeah, I think it's strange that he made it so quickly at Chelsea. Like being in London, and like I understand like if he didn't necessarily understand the interviewer and understand the question, but shouldn't be like, you should be more just like praising your club since you've been there for 3 months.
Yeah, and I think that this was meant more to be a slight at Real Madrid than it was to be a slight at Chelsea, but it definitely kind of came off as a slight at Chelsea as well. Christian, what were your thoughts upon reading the comments?
Those are the two worst teams on the planet, so I'm all about that. Well, they're up there. They're up there.
Okay.
Morata. This is a very difficult situation that he put himself in, because at Chelsea, it just takes a little comment or a little bit of speculation, and that club goes through turmoil, because every time it happens, it's just hysterical to watch over and over again. They are so good. They're so good, and then they just collapse, and it's wonderful. Everybody loves to see that, except for when they're winning.
They still win a lot.
Yeah, they do still win a lot.
Well,
every couple of years they're good for every couple of years they're good for a good meltdown.
Yeah, they do that. They really like break down a lot, but irrelevant. Alvaro Morata is a very, 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 very talented player, and he was the star of the Juventus team. Well, probably one of the top 3 players on their team at the time. And Madrid just activated his buyback clause. That's all that it took. It wasn't like they went out and spent huge amounts of money on him. He was their youth player. They brought him up. they saw how quality he really was, which I don't know why they let him go in the first place. But making these comments it's clearly stating that he just did not like being in Madrid. He just felt underutilized there. But the way it was phrased, and I do believe it was in English, the interview, came across that I kind of want to go back to Juventus right now. And to be honest with him, Juventus probably are in a better situation. They have very quality team, and I think they have a better shot of winning the Champions League than Chelsea does.
Possibly. I don't know. Juve is in a little. They're kind of going through their own issues in Serie A. I mean, they're back up to second place, but they're playing a very different style than what they've done in the past. They're scoring tons of goals rather than just not giving up goals. And they're
as a striker, that's where you'd want to be.
Yeah, but they're getting older too, so I think they're kind of getting towards the end of their peak. Also, I mean, living in London and the wages in the Premier League, I honestly don't know if Juve can compete with that. So. Yeah, so I think that would be interesting. I mean, I don't really have anything else to add beyond that. I think it may have just been a language issue as well as him thinking and wanting to emphasize more how much he didn't like being back at Madrid, but it definitely did come off as slighting Chelsea. So with that, let's keep things moving along. Saw an interesting article on Reddit that came from the Man United, I think, official website, but I had no idea about this until today, but as of today, October 30th, 2017, Manchester United has had an academy player in their matchday squad, so in their matchday 18, every match for the last 80 years. So since 1937, they've had a player from their academy in the squad. I was incredibly impressed by this and had no idea that Manchester United kind of had that philosophy. I always think of them as this big spending, big brand club that, would play 11 foreign players if they needed to, just to get a result. But I was kind of encouraged by this. Christian, what were your thoughts upon hearing this? Did you know about this?
Well, speaking of terrible teams, let's go talk about United now. I did not know this. I had no idea at all whatsoever, especially in the mid-2000s where you think of their players other than, well, actually, no, that is when you would think they had the best of their players. What I was thinking is the end of like the 2000s when Scholes retired and then Giggs retired. There was kind of that lull period then. And that is kind of when the club went through turmoil when Sir Alex left. And I just assumed in that period, I can't really think of who was their academy player in that time frame. Do you even know who that
Fernando Macheda or whatever. Remember him?
Yeah, I think he was gone a long time ago, I thought.
Yeah, but you said in the starting 11 or just the squad?
Matchday 18. So the 18. So, I mean, not full 25-man roster, but the 18 that are eligible.
Yeah, I guess they had Fernando. No, he was bought. Never mind. I don't know.
So we don't need to get into.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. So I know, but that is ridiculous. That 80 years they've had at least one academy player in every single game they played. They have 60 games a year for a long time. That is really insane that they were able to do that. And as much as it pains me to say, really good on them for being able to do that.
Yeah, Matt, what were your thoughts upon hearing this?
Yeah, like right when I heard it, I think I saw it today on Twitter, just walking back from class, and like right when I saw it, I started just like thinking like I could go back 80 years of all the players that were on United, and I just like started thinking, I was like just like Christian was doing, and I was like, wait, what am I doing? But like, I think it's incredible. We were talking about this last week, especially with Man United's academy again. It's something that I think some like academies show that they work. It gets players to the top level. So I support it. I think it's awesome that United's done it for 80 years, especially for how big of a club they are.
Exactly. So that's the thing. I would imagine there are other clubs out there that probably have done something similar to this. But even, I don't know about Barcelona. I'm sure that they've been that over the last, 20 years or so. But going back before that time, I don't know what their strategy was. And so for these clubs that have historically been the biggest clubs to do that over such an extended period of time, I think is incredibly impressive. Christian, smiling?
Yeah, I'm smiling. Smiling's my favorite.
Great. Last thing I wanted to talk about in segment 2 here, Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool manager, came out recently and said that all EPL clubs have issues with the exception of Manchester City. Matt, you're a City fan. Do you agree with Klopp saying this?
Well, he said no issues. I wouldn't consider it's an issue yet, but I know at some point 3 of our center backs are going to go down, and we do lack depth, especially at the defensive position. So I think that's the only weakness. But he does have a way of putting center mids at defense and still winning leagues. Like Fabian Delph, who has done nothing the last 2 years. It was a shame, like right when he came to City, I think he was starting for England, like starting for England's like national team, like the real team right before he went to City, and then he became a bench player.
As opposed to the fake team?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like when they put the real guys out.
Got it.
So like it's just great to see like he's playing incredible at left back. So it's just great to see that.
So you think they'll just drop another center midfielder, Gundogan, being there at center back?
Yeah, he's incredible. Glad he's back. Yeah, but he's always hurt too.
Yeah. Okay, it's only a matter of time. So you think a depth issue specifically at defense. Christian, what about you? Do you think City has any issues?
Yes, I would agree with Matt. The fact that when they get into the later stages of the Champions League or when they come up against the top teams, I think they're going to struggle defensively. I think they have a pretty solid goalkeeper now, and they obviously have the best midfield and attack in England and probably a top 5 squad in Europe now. There's no team without flaws. That's just how it is. And I think that City defensively is where they're going to get exposed, especially without Mendy at left back. He has been so solid at the start of the season, and now he's out for a pretty long time. Walker, I'm still not sold on, even though he's played decently well since he came in. And losing company for another however long he's out, at this point, you might as well just write him off as a
Wait, is
center
company
back.
hurt again? I completely missed that.
Yeah, he's been hurt for a couple
he's
weeks
been hurt.
now.
And
he came back and got hurt again.
And Gundo came back last game for his first game.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew he was back and then got hurt, but it was just a minor injury, and then he came back. Is there any risk or issue that you see in having almost too much attacking depth and having any of those players go out of form, whether it's through over-rotation or under-rotation of those attackers? Matt, any risk there or no? Do you think that they're going to be fine?
No. Pep rotates the players, I think. I think the players know that if they want to play in Pep's system, you're going to have to score. Like Sane, he fell out of the rotation. I think Sane could be our second best player when he's at his best. And he fell out of the rotation for a couple games earlier this year. So it's just like Pep's style, it's just so competitive. And people just, with like the depth, you just have to perform at your best all the time. That's what he demands. So I think that just pushes the team and makes it better. I don't think it worries the depth.
Okay, fair enough. Christian, anything else to add?
I think Pep does unsettle a lot of players because there are some egos that want to play every single game, such as Ibra, obviously, is probably the main example that you could think of. But I know Eto'o didn't like him either because of the rotation. Irrelevant, though, because at Barcelona, I felt like he had more of a set lineup. I don't know if you guys agree with that. At City, I think he rotates way more. And I think at Bayern, he started rotating more as well.
It feels that way. So I didn't follow Barca as closely as you did back in the day, but it always felt like they had the same players on the field, whether it was Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi.
Yeah, and I think he's been forced to do that because the Premier League is so demanding physically to a lot of players.
Yeah.
I think he did it at Bayern too. Remember they had like those 2 teams. He had
Christian
like 2
said
full
that.
teams.
Yeah, Christian said that he started to rotate at Bayern, and he's kind of continued that, and even more so at City. So yeah, I would agree with that, Christian. I think that's a good point to bring up. So with that, that's it for second segment here. We're going to hear some more music, and then we'll be back with our third segment. Stay with us. All right.
It's a little better.
That was a little better.
How are you not sold on Kyle Walker?
I'm actually not big on Kyle Walker either.
I don't think he's very good.
I feel like he's a little out of control sometimes. He's incredibly freakishly athletic.
I think he's the best defender in the league.
No.
I think he has the most physical tools and can make up for things with those tools. But
And
I
he
wouldn't say
creates offensively so much.
again, I don't know if that's him or if that's the system that he's in. And, I don't know if he's really creating other than with his like
He
speed.
was the best right back in the league last year.
I'm not sold on
Season.
him. I think he's good, but I don't know if he is. I mean, he fits exactly. He's the Danny Alves kind of similar mold, Marcelo kind of mold where.
Are you saying Danny Alves and Marcelo are not good?
No. But what I'm
He's one of
saying is,
those Danny Alves or Marcelo.
but they've always played in systems that are incredibly attacking and they don't have to defend, and so they're incredible players. But as far as like outside backs, like all around players, I don't know if. I think you could find better defensive players than them. No?
I mean, that's the difference between.
Okay.
We should have been talking about this, but whatever. I think that Klein is a better defender than Walker is, and Walker's more attacking minded. That's how it is, and that's why England rotate the two of them depending on the game.
Good point. All right. That was good debate. I may drop that in there. We'll see.
Yeah.
Klein fucking sucks.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, he's been out for 6 months now, so who knows how he is.
Yeah, who knows what he's going to look like. All right, you guys ready for our third and final segment?
Guys
Yeah,
out for
I'm
6
so
months
ready.
is better than Kyle Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to our third and final segment. First topic here, FIFA is considering implementing a World League to replace international friendlies. So in the past, we've discussed the UEFA League that's going to be starting, UEFA Nations League, I think it's called. Yeah, UEFA Nations League that's starting in Europe next season. Yeah, 2018, I think, after the World Cup. And we discussed implementing something in CONCACAF. And what are you playing with? Are you playing with the ball?
What ball?
There's some sort of sound going on there. Okay. We discussed in the past CONCACAF implementing something similar, but now FIFA is considering implementing a worldwide league, basically a system of promotion and relegation at the national team level, where you would be matched up with other countries in the same kind of FIFA ranking level as you. You would play a season or two over the course of 2 years, and ultimately clubs that are in the upper echelon would get promoted to another division. Teams at the bottom would get relegated to a lower division, and then the teams in the middle would just stay in that division. Matt, what are your thoughts on this kind of World League? I know we had kind of gotten everybody's thoughts on Nations League, but what do you think about including the entire world?
So they still have like qualifiers and I assume like they still have all their other tournament qualifiers and their continental cups.
So to provide clarity, I think the Nations League is replacing at least somewhat of the Euro qualifiers. I don't think it's fully replacing them, and I think they will still have some qualifiers, but this is intended, like you'll still have World Cup qualifiers and all of that. So those aren't going away.
Okay, so if it's like a 2-year rotational program, I don't think you're getting significantly better, like going up 2 brackets in a 2-year span of teams without your range. So I think it's good to play those teams if it's just this league where you play them like pretty frequently, a couple times every year. You go through playing like teams of your level, I mean. A couple times every year, and then you also get in those other qualifiers and other cups. That's when you get the upper level competition and when you really test yourself. So I think that's fine when you are going for trophies that matter. I feel like you should be testing yourself, pushing yourself to the highest level. But if it's just a lot of international games, you have to see what players fit best, and I feel like playing against teams of the same quality is going to help every nation.
Okay. Fair enough. So you like the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Christian, what about you? What do you think about the concept of replacing international friendlies?
I have 2 questions here. Is this going to replace the Nations League, or would they just have their own group and then everyone else plays?
FIFA hasn't explicitly said it, but my understanding is yes, it would replace the Nations League because like teams like Germany or Germany, France, who are in the upper echelons of FIFA rankings right now, would be in the first division, and they would be playing the Argentinas and Brazils of the world in that first division. So they would need to incorporate that.
I feel like it would only be Europe and South America in the top division, and yeah, it would be fun to watch as a fan, but as a fan of your nation, especially being American, we're not going to be able to see us playing against the top teams, especially not now. And yeah, you have to fight your way up to get to there. And I understand that is part of the game. But we want to see those friendlies. Yeah, they're not as meaningful, but we want to see ourselves how we equate to what that level is right now. And we want to be able to schedule those friendlies so that when the tournaments do come, we are ready.
Yeah, but a counterpoint to that is Poland hasn't played an international friendly in a couple years. They had some mathematician, I think I read or heard on a podcast, a Romanian mathematician came to them and said, according to the FIFA World Rankings, if you don't play friendlies and based on how you've done in previous competitions, like you can rise up the rankings. And Poland's now, they're top 10, if not top 8 in the world, and they're going to be a seeded country for the World Cup. Now, they didn't necessarily earn that through their they earned it through their play, so I don't want to diminish what they've done, but they've also kind of gamed the system. Whereas if you had a World League, there's no more way to game the system. You are where you are in the World League standings.
But shouldn't they have more of like, I know this is how college football has worked. Why don't they have a committee of people determining who's ranked where for the World Cup? I think that would make so much more sense.
I don't know if I want a committee of FIFA deciding anything, just with all of their historical...
It doesn't matter. Their stupid system isn't doing it right anyway.
Yeah, but at least the system, there's a mathematical formula that everybody is aware of the formula. You can game it, but everybody can game it. And there's at least a level of clarity there. And what I'm saying is the World League kind of takes out the gaming altogether. But if you're going to have a system, I would not want a committee deciding. Matt, I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
About the committee? Yeah, no, I like the points.
Yeah, well, I guess the counterpoint is I guess it depends on who's on the committee. And I don't even know who's on the college football committee. But if it's a conglomerate of like, I guess it's so tough because like the FIFA Best Awards, right, that were just announced, you have every country's captain votes in the voting, and then I think there's a panel of like journalists and things like that. And so like some people just aren't qualified. And so I don't know. I think there would need to be some sort of serious vetting and a quorum. I don't know the right word, but a plethora of different people across the platform of spectrum of journalists, players, FIFA executive. Like, I don't know. I think it would just be too much for me to get comfortable with.
Yeah, no, I don't like people's like opinions, especially with a game like soccer where it's such like an opinionated game. Everyone can have their own opinion of who's better than who. So I like the point system where, there's a number. This is how you did. This is what you got. Like, do better next time. You don't like it.
Yep, I like that thought. Okay, let's keep things moving along. Last topic here that I wanted to talk about. So the La Liga chief, I forget his name, unfortunately. Tebas, I think is his name. I'm looking at it. So he recently came out. I think they actually filed paperwork against PSG and recently came out and accused PSG and Man City of just financial doping, which is basically skirting the FIFA laws on financial fair play. And he wants PSG and Man City expelled from the Champions League if they do not meet financial fair play. Matt, what do you think about this concept? And what do you think about, I feel like every other week La Liga is coming out and fighting or saying something about PSG and Man City. Is it necessary, or should they just kind of quiet down and let UEFA handle things?
I feel like since I've started paying somewhat attention to news, every story I hear out of Spain is like something ridiculous or something you just don't really want to read or hear. It's just like I don't know. First of all, I don't understand financial fair play. I don't know too many people that fully grasp financial fair play. So the fact that he's just reporting that, and especially for Spain, for so many clubs that have broken it, it's just annoying to see him going at other clubs and just making drama.
Okay, fair enough. Christian, what are your thoughts on him continuing to kind of go after PSG and Man City? Is he necessary to kind of keep that on the forefront of people's minds so that people don't forget about it?
This guy is the head of La Liga. where the biggest club in the world breaks this rule over and over and over again in Madrid. They did this so many times. They just spent so much money, and now he's just jealous that other teams are doing it. That is really all this meant.
So to provide a little bit of clarity there, because I don't think that's true. So financial fair play has only been around for less than 10 years, and the revenues. So the way financial fair play works, Matt, to answer your question, is you can't outspend your revenues that come in from soccer operations. That's
yeah, I get that, but PSG did not get, what was it, 600 billion last year, or a million.
Yeah, and so the way that Man City and PSG a lot of times get their funding is through their relationships with United Arab Emirates or Qatar, and the connections with the government. And so they get deals and sponsorship deals that aren't necessarily market value. And so financial fair play tries to take into account fair market value of things. So Real Madrid doesn't really have that situation. They have huge revenue numbers. Like there's no denying that. I think they're constantly in the top 3, both in club valuation and revenues each year. So I don't think that they are actually spending beyond financial fair play, Christian.
Okay, well, regardless, I think he's getting upset about the fact that other teams are stealing the best players in the world, and La Liga has had that for so long. And so now he's making comments about PSG and City, teams with ridiculous budgets who are able to spend that amount of money, able in quotation marks, because that's a whole other issue. We don't know if financial fair play really is being broken or not. But I think that La Liga, between Barcelona and Real Madrid and even Atletico over the past couple of years, has had some of the best players in the world over and over and over again. And you're starting to see that slip away a little bit. And I think he's trying to hold on to that and stop those teams from stealing the players from La Liga.
Got it. So you think it's a case of kind of sour grapes with players leaving and him just wanting to protect La Liga rather than him really believing that they've broken financial fair play?
I think he's trying to force that to be an issue.
Okay.
More than it is.
Okay. I kind of think that there's something there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that there's something going on specifically at PSG. Like they're clearly breaking rules, and there needs to be consequences for it. Now, City's a different case because they're just different. They're not quite as affiliated with a government as PSG is with Qatar. Man City is close connections with the United Arab Emirates, but I don't know if they're breaking financial fair play or not. I mean, if PSG is, I think it would be well within the rights of UEFA to suspend them from the Champions League, because this would be a second infraction over a certain period of time. And I don't know if they will do it, but I think that they probably should. Matt, anything to add?
Didn't Barcelona break some transfer rules?
That was youth.
Yeah, that was youth. That's a completely different issue.
And so did Madrid and Madrid.
Yeah, and so did Liverpool.
I thought it was the Neymar thing.
No.
Oh, the Neymar thing. The Neymar thing's another thing too. Yeah, the Neymar thing's a whole separate issue. But yeah, so I mean, nobody's clean in this whole scenario. I just think it's incredibly tough to be clean in the world game of soccer. And so, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens out of all of this. But like I said, there's no way PSG is compliant, and so something needs to be done. And so it's going to be interesting to follow what actually ends up being done. Okay, guys. Christian, anything else you wanted to add on this topic or any other topics we covered?
Yeah, just to finish this topic, I was reading about how the punishment he wants is for them to be out of the Champions League and out of Europe altogether. Do you think that is a sufficient punishment?
Yes. Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it should be over multiple years, Christian? Do you think it should be a wage reduction or squad reduction? Like, what do you think?
No, I think it's enough, but I think it should be 2 years. Suspended from all European activity.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I think that would be pretty.
Yeah, well, then they should stop breaking financial fair play. Finally, make it worth something.
Yeah, no. And there's a certain level of you need to come down hard on teams, or Yeah, you need to come down hard on rule breakers to prevent it from happening in the future.
Or make them have a 2 transfer window suspension.
I don't think that's harsh enough.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think that's harsh enough because they can still sign players and pay them. They just can't play. And so you've seen it with Barca signed our
Tehran.
Yep.
Tehran, thank you. And Madrid Atletico signed Diego Costa. And so like they can still sign players. So I don't think that's harsh enough. So kicking him out of Champions League, I think would be. Matt, anything you wanted to add?
Nah.
Okay. I wanted to add 2 things. First, Sam Allardyce came out and said he wanted to be considered for the U.S. men's national team job. There's also Laurent Blanc, who's the former coach of PSG, came out, or he didn't come out and say, but he's being linked to the job. I don't know what you guys think. I don't think either of them are going to take the job, and I don't think, not even take the job. I don't think U.S. Soccer is going to offer the job to either of them, and I think the people that are offering these betting odds, nobody should place those bets. That's my personal opinion. Matt, thoughts on either of those guys actually taking the U.S. job?
I would love Big Sam. You know, we need cheating in the American culture, like Bill Belichick, greatest football coach ever. You know, we need that. We need that culture in America. I love Big Sam.
Yeah, but he didn't cheat. Okay. He didn't cheat okay. Yeah. He didn't cheat for the good of his players or whatnot. He cheated for, he didn't even cheat, but he advised on personal gain sort of cheating. But anyways, Christian, what about you? Thoughts on either of them?
No, neither of them should come into the U.S. Soccer. I don't like either of the way they manage their teams, and I don't like the tactics they bring.
Got it. And I am on board I'm on board as well. Last thing. So this is incredibly long overdue, but Saudi Arabia announced that they are going to allow women to enter their stadiums and actually watch soccer matches starting in January. For those not aware, in that culture, women are not allowed to watch sporting events in public. I'm not even sure if they're allowed to in private. I don't know enough about the culture, but this is obviously criminally long overdue, but I'm really happy for them that they're finally having the opportunity to do that. So hopefully they can continue to get more rights and continue to get stronger programs all over the world in women's soccer. Christian, with that, you want to recap our trivia question and we will give our answers?
Yep. Trivia question this week is that who is the team in the Premier League era from 92 to current that has won the most penalties, and what is their conversion rate?
Okay, Matt, do you understand the question? Matthew, you're on mute.
All right.
He's on mute.
So who has got the most penalties? Like who's taken the most, and what is their conversion rate?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna say Liverpool or 80. Wait, hold up. 81%.
Okay, I'm gonna say Man United, and they convert 73%.
Matt, how many did you say?
81%.
Okay. Well, Liverpool is the team with the most. They had. Do you want to take a guess at how many it is?
What? How many
Penalties they've won?
I don't know. Like
320.
What year is it?
Just all right. Let's go. This podcast. This podcast has been off the rails for most of it. Let's just put these listeners out of their misery.
It is 146 penalties they have won, and they have scored 112 with a 76.7 conversion rate.
That's just
which
fantastic.
Is also the top conversion rate with teams have taken at least 50 penalties.
Okay. Thank you for that, listeners. Hopefully you did better than I did. Matt, congrats on getting the club right. With that, that brings us to the end of the podcast this week. Thank you guys for being here and listening to us. Thank you, Christian and Matt, for talking with me. If you want links to any of the stories discussed here, they'll be in the show notes. We'll also tweet them out from our Bros Talking Soccer Twitter handle, which is at BT Soccer Pod. Christian, do you have something you would like to add?
I just want to add one more fact from the trivia question today. Liverpool missed their 34th penalty, which is tied with Arsenal for the most in Premier League history.
Thank you for that. So if you want to follow us, our Twitter handle is @BTSoccerPod. If you want to get in contact with us, our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. Everything was brought to you by Fan Futsal, FANFUTSAL.com. And check out that Lads podcast too. We'll have that link in our show notes as well. Christian and Matt, thank you again. And we will talk to you all next week. Thank you. See you, everyone. Oh, man. I feel like we didn't even – do we even have a show name?
No.
It's Jack.
Hey, Jack, you're on the podcast.
Hey, it's just my bros talking soccer.
We just finished.
Yeah, we finished
I'm
talking
gonna
soccer.
go now.
All right. Do we have a show name?
No,
All right,
I
wait,
have
hold
no
up, Jack.
idea.
Hold up, guys. I have nothing more to say to you. Bye.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
So I guess I'll figure. Okay, I'll figure it all out. Thanks.
Okay.